Speaking out about the NBA schedule, saying he believes the season is just simply too long. Listen to Kerr. All right, so right now the NBA plays 82 regular season games. You scratch 10 off that, we can all do math. That would be 72 regular season games. Does Kerr have a point here, Vince?
No, he does not have a point. And let me start by saying, I'm going to take you back to my second year covering the NBA. The NBA was just coming out of a lockout, Stephen A., and they had 66 games in 167 days. And on the first day of the playoffs, Derrick Rose tore his ACL. I wrote a column for the Detroit News saying that the league caused that injury by squeezing in all those games in all those days. The next day, I received a phone call from the league office asking me, David Stern and some of his minions, asking me, are you a doctor or did you stay at a Holiday Inn last night? So with that, I'll say I'm not a league shill. But I will say that 82 games is part of the league's fabric. Steve Kerr gave it in his answer. The players aren't giving money back. The coaches ain't giving money back. There's TV spots to fill. And the pace of the game is too fast. There's ways that you can alter the rules that can slow the games down. I don't think the NBA causes injuries. And Perk, you got kids that are playing in AAU basketball. You are all in the youth circuit. You know the kids coming into the NBA is playing too many games of basketball at the developmental stage. It's not the wear and tear during the NBA season. It's the wear and tear before they get to the NBA that I think is causing a lot of these injuries. And the final point is this, guys. The 82 games is a marathon. It's part of the story. It's part of attrition. It's part of what teams have the stamina that can sustain throughout the course of the season, that can last till June. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be this fun thing. It's supposed to be a mental, a physical grind and exercise, and then you find out who really has it towards the end. I don't think the league should change that, and I think it's been fine up until this point, especially with eliminating the 3 and 4s and the back-to-backs. The league has done a lot of things over the past few years to curtail that.
Kirk?
Steve Kerr doing all that crying, what the babies go do? I mean, what the babies go do? Seriously. We're talking about a game where you get paid to put your body on the line, right? This is part of it. This is what you sign up for, to put your body on the line. MJ, the only time that he played, it was only 3 seasons that he played less than 60 games. One of those times he was injured early in his career. The other time he retired during the course of the season. And then the third time he was with the Wizards. And Steve Kerr was his teammate for majority of his time. And so you know the blood, sweat, and tears that you pour into this. Here's why I really disagree with Steve Kerr, is that guys are getting paid max dollars. Max dollars. I'm talking about top-notch dollars to go out there and sacrifice night in and night out, right? When you talk about securing your future, like generational wealth, and you talk about what you have to do, it's part of the grind. This is what you sign up for when you want to become a professional basketball player. We don't hear about football players complaining about shortening the season or whatever the case may be. We don't hear about them resting. Now, granted, I get it. Football is a lot different than basketball, but when you think about football players and they always talking about how NBA players and the NBA is soft, it's because every single time, every single season, we could pick 1, 2, maybe multiple incidents where we see guys are going out there with cracked ribs, a broken hand, a dislocated elbow. And then we see guys in the NBA are coming and they're sitting out just because of rest. You know, arthritis in the hand or whatever the case may be. It's things to that nature. And so I love when Steve Kerr speak up on certain situations, but this situation in particular, I completely disagree with him on. And guys, we got to stop making excuses. You get paid to put your body on the line. That's part of being a professional athlete. It's what you sign up for.
You know, I agree with both fellas. Incredibly disappointing to hear Steve Kerr say what he said. But I think that, one of the things that bothers me is that when I think about Steve Kerr, he says a lot of profound things, contrary to what people want to believe. And, you know, they accuse him of getting on his soapbox or whatever. When Steve Kerr speaks, we should listen because he always has something substantive to say. But just because it's substantive doesn't make you right. And I think the part that disappoints me about Steve Kerr on this particular issue is that Steve Kerr is one of those dudes that'll lean on history to justify what's happening in the modern day era. But he doesn't do that with this issue. You know, Big Perk and Vinny pointed out directly and indirectly, minimum salary in the NBA is over $1.2 million. The median salary in the NBA is over $7 million. The maximum salary in the NBA goes, anywhere on average like $54 million. We're talking about individuals signing $250, $350 million contracts. And now you come to us talking about there should be 10 less games? What the hell do you want next? You want us to put a diaper and a bib on these guys? What the hell do you want next? I mean, I assure you, you don't hear players that's making $1 million or even making $5 million talking about how there should be less games. You know why? Because they want to position themselves to make that paper. Only when you get to that point do you say stuff like that. Steve Kerr didn't say that when he was playing. Steve Kerr didn't say that when he was a general manager. Steve Kerr didn't utter those words until he became a champion 4 times over. Okay? And by the way, as a player who won 3 championships in Chicago, as a player that won a couple of championships in San Antonio, he wasn't saying that stuff then. The NBA just signed an 11-year, $77 billion contract. How do you get that if you don't play those games? And oh, by the way, let me make people very, very uncomfortable with what I'm about to say. I don't hear hockey players talking about playing less games. They play 82 games. I don't hear that. I mean, we might talk about, and baseball is obviously not nearly as taxing on the physical body as basketball is. We understand that. But they also understand that even though they would prefer not to have to play 162 games, they do, when they're reminded that that's why the revenue is what it is, they're like, okay. So I'm just simply saying that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what? If you're Steve Kerr, don't talk about what's good for the game while talking about keeping the money if you players or keeping the money if you coaches. Your argument would be far more profound if Steve Kerr came out and said, you know what? Let's give back some of these monies. Let's calculate it. Let's see what the aggregate is, and let's subtract 10 games worth of pay for this. You would have a more substantive argument if you did that. But when you never talk about giving the money back, but you talk about giving some of the workload back, that is more than hypocritical. And that's where the disappointment lies.
I actually think about that with load management. Like, if you get 2 load management days, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, you got to give your paycheck back. Yeah. Like that, do something along those lines. Like, go ahead, Perk.
Yeah. Let me say this. One of the best experiences I've had, right, as a basketball player was playing in the G League because it humbled me in a way. Like, when you talk about it being in the NBA, traveling on private jets, staying in 5-star hotels, the money that organizations has put into their owners have put into their organizations, far as the doctors, the science, the technology, far as your recovery, personal chefs in the practice facility, all that. And you go to the G League and you...
This just hit Dub Nation, and we need to talk. Steve Kerr is catching major heat after saying the NBA season should be cut from 82 games to 72. A lot of people heard that and instantly thought, come on, that sounds soft. But for Warriors fans, this conversation hits different because this is not happening in a vacuum. It is happening while Golden State is fighting to stay alive in the West, and while Stephen Curry has been dealing with a right knee issue that already forced him to miss time. That is why Kerr's comment blew up. Critics are saying 82 games are part of the DNA of the league, part of the grind, part of what separates real contenders from everybody else. They are also saying players make too much money to ask for less work. And honestly, that reaction was predictable. Fans pay big money to watch stars, not injury reports. And nobody wants to hear about fewer games when the NBA is making billions. But here is the part people are missing. Kerr is not talking about avoiding competition. He is talking about how much stress the modern game puts on players' bodies. Today's NBA is faster, more spread out, more demanding possession after possession. It is not just about old-school toughness anymore. It's about cumulative wear and tear. And Warriors fans know exactly what that looks like when Steph is not on the floor. When Curry plays, Golden State looks like a team with structure, belief, and identity. When he's out, every game becomes a fight just to survive. That is why this debate matters so much for Dub Nation. The Warriors are not just managing a season, they are trying to protect their chance to still be dangerous when it matters most. This roster is built on veterans, young pieces, chemistry, timing, and rhythm. And that rhythm gets thrown off every time injuries pile up or the lineup keeps changing. Now, does that mean the league should definitely cut 10 games tomorrow? Not necessarily. That kind of change would affect revenue, records, schedules, contracts, and league history. It's a massive decision. But Kerr's point should not be laughed off either. The NBA has already made scheduling changes before to reduce stress, and that proves the calendar is not untouchable. So from a Warriors perspective, this should not be seen as Kerr making excuses. This should be seen as a coach who understands exactly what his team is dealing with and is trying to protect the product, the players, and the Warriors' chance to make noise. Golden State is still alive. The fight is still there. And if staying healthier gives this team a better shot when the pressure rises, then yeah, Warriors fans should at least listen. Now, I want to hear from you. Is Steve Kerr right that the NBA season is too long, or should 82 games never be touched? Drop your opinion in the comments, leave your like, and subscribe to Warriors Nation News.